Hello everyone. My name is Todor Ialamov. I'm part of the Kendra family. I'm a real estate agent and investor and a team leader of Kendra North. We primarily work with, as John said, with other investors, but we also help with condos and single families. But we love investment properties. I purchased my first property in 2006. It was a condo in the waterfront of Chelsea. It was a three-bedroom apartment. I rented 2 rooms and I lived in one of the rooms. So I learned my biggest takeaways of this purchase was first that it's possible to almost live for free, which was awesome. I think at the end of the month, I was paying like $200 out of pocket, which was nothing. The other lesson that I learned from this was that real estate is it's pretty forgiving business. In terms of I bought this property on top of the market just before probably the biggest real estate crash. The other 2 apartments underneath me couldn't sell for almost 2 years for 2 times less the price, so they ended up foreclosing. But when you buy something, if you're planning on sticking with it with at least 5, 6, 7 years, things will turn, cycles will turn, and you'll come on top. And for me, this was a liability for a while. I obviously couldn't sell it. If I rented if I had to move and rent it, I wouldn't be able to cover my mortgage. But I was in the area. I lived in Boston, so I didn't have to sell it, and things turned around. And right now, I still own it. It's a great asset. I actually, a couple months ago, I did a second cash out refinance and pulled almost $150,000 out of it. Well, I still, and I still have positive cash flow at the end of the month. I started full-time in real estate in 2017. I got my real estate license at the same time. I joined Keller Williams. I was actually also Rookie of the Year for the whole northern region, which was quite an honor. I currently own around 70 units throughout Massachusetts and New Hampshire. We also own a couple of units in Sofia, Bulgaria, it's in Europe. I like all kinds of sports. On a personal note, I like to exercise, I like to play soccer, table tennis, I like to hit the gym. I also like to write short stories. I find writing a great form of meditation for me. I try to spend 10-15 minutes every morning with coffee, and it really helps me get my brain at the right mode. Especially at night when I go to bed, instead of thinking of about all the crap that will follow the next day, I try to concentrate on what I'm going to write the next morning, and that really puts me to bed on a positive note. And I suggest you guys, if somebody does it or not, try it. It really helps me going through the day. But above all, I'm a husband and a father of 2. I love spending time with my family and my kids. We like to travel a lot, do things together, and just spend time. So my why in real estate is just like I'm sure most of you, if not everyone in the room, is to achieve financial freedom and to create general wealth, which we can pass to our children, and help others with the above too. That's why I don't feel my agent business as a job. I really enjoy. I don't care how long I will drive. I really enjoy looking at properties, and when we help somebody buy the right property, it took great satisfaction for me. That's I really like this. So financial independence, and that's a quote by Gary Keller, who is the founder and CEO of Keller Williams, and in my opinion is one of the smartest people in real estate. So financial freedom is when your passive income exceeds your expenses, so that you can do with your time what you are put on earth to do. And this could mean you can travel more, or exercise, or watch Netflix, whatever you feel. It just give you the freedom of do what you enjoy doing. So passive income is what we're looking for, and actually there's another quote by Warren Buffett who says that if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will have to work for the rest of your life. So I really believe that we should try to create some kind of a source of passive income. So how I grow my portfolio, like John said, and mostly everyone that had found any type of success in real estate, is you need to take action. You really need to get out there and take action. And I heard this Brandon Turner on Bigger Pockets. I'm not sure if he quoted somebody or that he came up with it, but he said that if it was only up to reading books and listening to podcasts, we would all be millionaires and have six packs. So yeah, it doesn't matter. Books are great. I personally prefer podcasts because they're real stories, so you can learn a lot from books and listening to podcasts. Coming to events like this is also a great source of learn about real estate. But at the end of the day, just getting this first deal under your belt, you'll learn so much more than any book you would read, any podcast that you listen to. So I'll be talking a little bit. The stacking is a way of to grow my portfolio that I mostly use. I'll come back to this. We also save money and buying conventionally. Just save some money for down payment and go out and find a deal and buy it. Through my agent business, I try to do a couple of flips a year, and through the rentals revenue. I personally am not big on flips. I know it sounds sexy and people like it, watch it on the HGTV. For me, it's a very big hassle, especially today's when all the contractors are super busy. They don't give you a time of the day. They charge through the roof. It's hard to manage. And then at the end of the day, once you complete it, you pay the capital gain tax, and there's not that much left. So I'm very selective of the flips that I choose to participate in. And what I normally do is, I have an account with some money that I use for flips. And once we complete a flip, I put that money, and usually I use it for a down payment. Even if you work with private money or hard money lender, you still need to have some of your money into the deal so people can feel comfortable lending to you. So I put this money on the side, and whatever the proceeds, whatever the profit is, I put in a separate account. And when I have enough to put a down payment on the next property, I use this for that. Because if a lot of flippers, they complete one flip, and then all the profits, everything they put in the next one, and then in the next one, and you just run the treadmill, and the first time you hit an obstacle, like a big obstacle, you might lose a lot of money. The other strategy is the Burr strategy. That's you probably heard this term. It's buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. So this is pretty much the same as a flip. You're trying to find a distressed property, you fix it, you rent it, and then instead of putting it on the market and sell it, you refinance it with a bank and try to pull most of your money back, the money that you initially invested. And if you buy it if you buy the deal on the right price, you can actually take all your money back. So the stacking, as I mentioned, this is this is when you buy a smaller building, smaller unit building, and then with the proceeds you exchange it to a larger building. So I'll give you an example with this. This is a house, three-family house in South Lawrence that we bought in March of 2018. We purchased it for $415,000. I remember they had a scheduled showings on Friday from 8 to 5 o'clock that day. I was the first one to show up. I stayed I liked the house. I had my laptop. I did some numbers outside the building. Every time when the agent, who was also the owner, every time she was stepping out, I asked some questions, and I think by 12 o'clock, we made a deal. The top floor apartment was a complete shit show. We had to evict the tenants and completely remodel it. The second unit was in a very good condition, and the first unit also needed some updating. So we did that. We stabilized it. We brought all the rents to market, and we were enjoying a cash flow of $1,600 a month. And this is after every expense, like obviously the mortgage, the insurance, electricity, every bills, putting money aside for capital expenditures, every single expense that is. In April of 2020, we sold that building for $570,000, and with the proceeds, actually the deal that we bought was John brought it to me. It's an 18-unit building in Fitchburg that consists 11 residential units and 7 commercial. So without any out-of-pocket expense. Actually, we had some money left after we completed the transaction. We exchanged this building into this, and now the cash flow, the pure cash flow, actually it's more than $4,500 now, but it's almost three times what it was before. And long run, let's say if we sat on this building for 10 years and on this for 10 years, this will be. If we sell this at the end, we'll make so much more money than that, and we'll have a lot more cash flow. When you increase rent of 18 units, you make way more money than if you increase rent for 3 units. And we did the same with all the first buildings, like 4 or 5 buildings. We exchanged one in Methuen, three family for 9 units in New Hampshire. We exchanged one in South Lawrence again, the 3 family for 6 family just up the street. And I know a lot of some investors say, well, I'll never, I don't sell my assets, I just add. And I kind of felt the same way at the beginning. It was very hard for me. So we put a lot of work into this building. It was hard for me to make myself put it on the market, especially knowing that then you need to go through the struggle of finding another one and then updating the other one. But the end result was really worth it. So after that, I had no doubts. We did it 4 or 5 times in a row, and I'm very happy I did so. Do you guys have any questions so far here?
Is there a better or a recommended market area for getting into multifamily wholesale?
Well, it's really hard to say. It's depending what your financial goals are. When we started investing in 2017, you can still Lowell was a great area. Methuen, there was a lot of cash flow. In South Lawrence, then the prices really, a lot of investors started investing in these areas, and the prices are really started to climb up. I mostly look for to have a cash flow. Positive cash flow is at least between 12 to 15% return on my investment, and it's been very hard to find it in this area. So we started transitioning to Western Massachusetts, like Fitchburg, Leominster, Athol area. So that really depends what you're looking to achieve. If you're looking for appreciation, something that you don't necessarily need to have some money left at the end of the month, I would suggest you get closer to Boston. 'Cause historically, you make more money when you sell the building at the end of the time that you own it. But it's hard to say. It's really what you're looking for. Yeah.
So when I'm sure it's a 90-day time window with that 1031. Are you looking for that asset right after you sell that property? Or are you making offers contingent on
No, so it's not actually. So the 1031 exchange is, as John mentioned, it's a part of the reason that the prices are really high, because a lot of people are trying to do it. It's a great and I should actually explain for people that don't know what 1031 exchange is. This is when you sell a building and then reinvest the proceeds into another building. You defer the capital gain tax. So for example, with this one, if we bought it for $415, we probably put $20,000 into it. So $435, sold it for $570. So that difference, if we just took the money and put it in a bank account, we would have to pay like 25, maybe 30% of capital gain tax. But if you exchange it and invest it in another building, like as we did, then you defer this tax. And you can do this, we can sell this and do another one and another one. And eventually when you sell your last one, you have to pay that capital gain tax. But the idea is that, let's say $50,000 today will, and 50,000 15 years from now will be a lot less. And to answer your question, there are certain guidelines throughout the process. With the most important rules are actually 45 days. You have 45 days to identify the properties that you need to buy. And then you have 6 months to close on any of the ones that you identify. So that makes it a little trickier, especially in today's market. But as we discussed with John and this gentleman, sorry I forgot your name earlier, you can, when you sell your building, you can, you have the advantage of having a lot of offers when you sell buildings, so you can just play with the buyer. You can say, yeah, we'll go with you, but we need to extend, have a little, instead of 45 days closing, we can do it 60 or 70 days. This way you have a little more time to identify the properties that you want to buy.
Okay, so you're extending the closing of your property to give you more time to
Yeah, that's one way to do it. But yeah, they're very strict on this. So what happens is this. You need to find a 1031 exchange agent, which usually is attorneys. So all the proceeds, they go into escrow account that the attorneys hold, and they also, you need to fill all the paperwork prior to that. And they don't mess around with this. It's not like, I know the attorney. Yeah, can we just change the date? Nobody will do that. So they're really strict on the dates. If you miss on the 45 days, then you have to pay the capital gain tax.
I was going to ask how much the renovations cost, but I think you kind of answered it.
Oh, this one, was around 20 grand then. But yeah, I mean, the eviction was a big lesson for me. I learned doing the eviction that cash for keys is way better a strategy than evicting someone. And cash for keys is when you have a tenant that you want to get rid of. Instead of just tell them, hey, you need to leave in 30 days, you try to work out with them, offer them some money to help with their moving expenses. Because anywhere they go, they will have to pay first, last, and security probably. So people that live in these areas, then most of the time they don't have savings. So if you help them with this money, with these expenses, there'll be a way. Most likely they will live on their own, and it will be much cheaper for you and way less stressful than going through an eviction. I think cash for keys is the money very well spent. Yes.
How long did it take you to start cash flowing at $1,600 a month in bonds on that property?
Well, this is it was cash flowing pretty much a little bit from the very beginning. But to get this, the first floor unit would turn very quickly. The third floor, it took a few months until we evicted them. I think like it was around 4 or 5 months. But luckily they were paying in this time, which doesn't happen most of the times. Yeah, it was probably about 5-6 months.
Okay.
How many, did you have just that 3-family and then you went to that building, or did you have other multi-families?
Yeah, we started with I think we bought like 4 or 5 up to 4 units buildings in the in Lowell, Methuen, and South Lawrence area, and we started slowly selling them and exchanging into larger properties one by one. So it took us I think a year and a half, and we completed 5 exchanges.
And was the experience in the smaller multi-families really useful in the larger building, or is it kind of very different?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's not different. It's the same. I mean, you'll be surprised. It doesn't matter if it's a single family or 15 units. It's the same amount of documentation. Actually, on the commercial loans, they take into consideration the performance of the building a little more than your personal income and personal situation. So it's actually less paperwork on a commercial loan. So it's the same process. Doesn't matter the size. I mean, when doing inspection, it's more expensive and you walk more units. But other than that, it's the same process. It's no different. Yes.
Was your business model going in to get into the larger units, or did it just evolve into that same?
No, it just evolved. I'm never to the day. I love real estate. I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. If you ask me, so what is your strategy? I couldn't tell. I'm an opportunist. I see some way I can make money with real estate, and I jump in it.
But you're not. So you didn't make a mistake of getting attached, like you said. They're just assets, and you said I can convert this asset into a more profitable asset.
Yes, and this was actually the first one. I was very nervous doing it, but I'm so happy I did it. And it's, as I was talking with somebody here earlier, the more assets you have, the easier it becomes. You have more revenue, more avenues to make more money. It really gets easier much easier with the more you own, and especially us being agents. We walk and we look at properties every single day, so give us a lot of exposure to a lot of deals. I've actually purchased, I think, 2 or 3 buildings where I went with a client. He didn't like it, but I did, and I have no pressure, so I always make offers that are really to my liking, and I was able to buy it, and including also in the last slide, it's exactly the same situation happened a few weeks ago.
With the purchases that you make, the purchase and holds, do you do the BRRRR, like refinance stuff?
I have not completed. I mean, I've done a couple of. Now we are just to the refinancing portion on a 3-family in Fitchburg, and I'm not done a complete BRRRR from the beginning to the end, but I kind of do a couple of hybrids.
Okay. Because I was gonna ask if you do BRRRR, do you also do the other things that don't require like all the credit checks and everything that a BRRRR does? It's some kind of loans like SC.
It's a DSCR loan. It's a DSCR loan, and so it's a debt service coverage loan. And it's just a commercial loan. Yeah. It's just another word for the commercial loan that Todor used to buy the 18 unit, but you can use it on smaller properties. And so when you go to a DSCR loan, and you alluded to it, since you're commercial, they rely on the performance of the asset more than they rely on the person. And so if it's a strong enough property, they don't really give a shit who you are, because they're investing in the property.
But yeah, the flips and the BRRRRs, they usually finance with either private money or hard money lenders can fund this type of deals. Yes.
So when you went full time in 2017, what was your portfolio like, and was it supporting your lifestyle by itself, or were you taking a risk going full time?
Well, I had the benefit. I had a company, a successful company for many years prior to that, which was a delivery service company, just like DropHub right now. which I was fortunate to. I mean, we had over 70 employees at some point when I sold my shares in 2014. So I was fortunate that part of my payout was on a monthly basis. So for a few years I was still getting money. So that's why I had this luxury of not depending on my agent business or on the rental income from the properties that we were purchasing. I wouldn't have jumped like 2 feet like this. So I would suggest for people that want to transition into full-time real estate, just if you have a W-2 job, as much as I hate these W-2 jobs and I have been fortunate never to have one, you just buy a few properties before. Don't just jump in. Don't just jump 2 feet into real estate, because you might burn out quickly and then you hate it.
Difference between pulling out equity from the multifamily and getting into a larger building versus the 1031. Obviously, you could probably go a lot larger doing the 1031.
Like I don't, meaning instead of do like a cash out refinance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done. Like I mentioned, I did a cash out refinance on my condo because I believe it will appreciate more in time than this buildings. So I've done that as well. We actually on a 4-family, we also did cash out refinance. It's really what the real estate is so great because there's so many different ways you can do it. For example, we're looking for to maximize the profit of what I own. So we don't look at you don't have to necessarily look at cash on cash return, but you can also look at equity return on equity. Because let's say we invested $150,000 in this building, so my return, cash on cash return is great right now. I mean, it's probably 30%, 40%, I don't know what it is. But the equity, we have so much equity right now, which is, can you cash out refinance, or if you sell it, then the equity on cash it's way lower. So that's why maybe it would be a good idea at some point to sell it and then transition into a larger building. All right, so yeah.
How do you decide when you have a property you've got equity, whether to cash on refi or to sell and stack?
Well, I mean, I know it's the right thing at some point to sell it, but for me it's personal. Whenever I come around it, it's performing. It's this one I don't think I'll sell anytime soon because it's a great asset. But yeah, whenever I have time whenever I get around something that we always give our time to our clients first. When I'm not busy with clients, then I look at my personal things, and that's maybe the one bad thing about being an agent and investor at the same time. You kind of give we give more time to our clients than to ourselves, and that's the only reason that it hurts being an agent might hurt your investing business a little bit. So I'll do just one more slide talking about the BRRRR strategy. So this is another example of this happened just 3 weeks ago. A client of mine wanted to see there was a 4-family in Lowel, was listed for $599. We went to the building. We went to the basement first. I liked all the systems, and the siding was good. I kind of looked at the roof through climbing a tree, which the roof was good, so all the system. But as we walked in the first apartment, it was just complete shit show. So my client just went out and said, "Okay, I was just gonna wait this long. I'm just gonna wait for you outside." But I put my mask and I walked all 4 units, and it was a disaster. So we offered them $585. That same, half an hour later, went back and forth. I think the guy, he also owned it. He was one of these people where the agent also owned it. He might probably bought it with the idea to fix it up, but maybe didn't have a stomach to do so. So he was really eager to get rid of it. explained that I don't care. I can take his problems. So we agreed on 585. Then we did an inspection, and we're able to actually reduce it to 565 and negotiated 8,000 credit towards closing costs. So turned into a pretty decent deal. So we are planning of making repairs for $100,000, and the after repair value will be 750,000. So if you look at that, it explained here. So the down payment is 141. The acquisition, the loan amount would be 423. I didn't put anything for the closing costs because they will pay for it for 30 years. 375. I know it looks low, but Jeanne d'Arc Credit Union, they do have a program right now with a 7-year ARM loans that actually you can get that interest rate. So after we refinance and we hopefully a year from now, the Jeanne d'Arc Credit Union again, they do 75% loan to value. So they'll give us a loan for 600,000, and the closing cost will be around 3,000. Again, will be around 30 years. Hopefully, the interest rate on this one arm will be around 4%, a 7-year arm. So we are going to have a monthly cash flow of $2,300 a month, and after we pull all your money and pay everything, we'll only have to come up with $60,000 out of pocket. So that whole thing will cost us $60,000, and we'll have a 4-unit building that will be bringing $2,300 a month, and we'll have close to 200,000 equity in it. So it's a very powerful tool. It's hard to do. It is hard to find a deal like this. But this was on MLS. Everybody had access to it. Everybody could have gone in and picked it up. So it is possible. To make a bird your way, you take all your money back, and so it costs you nothing at the end of the day. Yeah, I'm sure people have done it. People claim they have done it, but $60,000 for me still it's a pretty good deal. So that's all I have for today. If you guys have any other questions, I'll be happy to answer.
When do you close?
We close, I think, 2 weeks from now. So, yeah, hopefully it turns into a good deal. Maybe we'll find something out of ordinary, and next time I see you guys, I say, hey, remember I was telling you about? Yeah, just scratch that. It happens, but another good thing about when you have enough assets and enough confidence in yourself, you kind of can be a little more playful with be a little more risky, take more risky deals for higher rewards.
Todor, how much time are you budgeting for that $100,000 worth of repairs?
Well, I mean, it's mostly cosmetics, so they can happen very quickly. It's a matter of how fast can we get the tenants out of there. That will be the hardest, because all four tenants need to leave. So we will be offering them cash. We have accounted for like $5,000 for each. I think that will be a very good chunk of money. They most likely will accept it. So once the tenants are out, we can go over this. There's nothing. The electricity has been done. I didn't see any plumbing issues, so I think it's mostly cosmetics, floors, kitchens, bathrooms. That should be quickly.
For the cash for keys, you're just gonna offer them $5,000 right away?
No, we'll start little. We'll start with 2,500. Probably 2,500. We'll give them. These are three bedroom apartments, but they weren't that big of family, so to get 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom apartment, that will give them first and last month somewhere. If they don't agree, then they will increase.
How much? What are you going to get for a 3-bedroom? 2,400?
Well, we're accounting for 1,900 per unit.
1,900.
Yeah, which is conservative. Which is, I think, for a completely updated unit. I think we can easily get, and Carla here can
We just rented a 3-bedroom in probably a worse neighborhood for $2,100.
Yeah, nice. And this is in a good part of this is in the Highlands. It's in a good part of Lowell. And the good thing about, and you know, when you have assets like this, the maintenance, because you've updated everything. You know, the units are turned, so you know you have a little less maintenance.
Do you do anything with like Section 8 these days, or you stay away from them?
No. I actually I was speaking recently in the Water Meetup about Section 8. I primarily rent to Section 8.
You do rent?
Yes.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because it's guaranteed money. At the end of the month is, you know, you don't have to beg for your check, and they're just tenants just like everybody else. They're no different than
If they pay their share.
Well, I mean the share it's I found it a lot easier to ask somebody for $200 than $2,000, and they do pay their share because you know they're afraid if they lose their voucher. I mean, eventually you report them to the officer in the housing authority, and you know, and they're not stupid. They know that if they mess around, they might lose their voucher and they'll have to pay for rent, and they don't want to do that. But they're just like every other tenant. You know, you screen them. They're good ones, they're bad ones. But they tend to stay longer because they don't have the income to buy. So, and the turnover is the biggest expense in our business. So the longer they stay, the more money you make.
John,
I love Section 8.
Do you do Section 8s?
Probably like 30% of our portfolio is Section.
And do they have demand, like right now if you buy properties, do they have demand, like are there tenants out there that are Section 8s that are ringing your bells? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and for some bedroom counts, like for weird bedroom counts, like 4, 5, 6 bedrooms, like Section 8 will actually pay more than market rent. And like, and they have a wait list. Like we have a 5-bedroom in Dover, and we called the housing authority, and they're like, yeah, let us know when it's ready. Like you can have your pick of lots of applicants because they don't have them and they need them. And frankly, we'll rent it to Section 8 for $200 more than we could rent it to a normal tenant. And then the question is, there's a wait list for 5 bedrooms, so how long do you think they're going to end up staying? Because they got nowhere else. There's a demand, right? They could put their name back on the wait list, and they could be waiting for a 5-bedroom for another 2 years. And like, chances are, you know, they're going to have a hard time finding another one.
And lead paint is an issue for you because you remediate the lead paint if you have to.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be a responsible landlord. Most of our buildings have lead paint certificates, or we at least know where the dangers are. And we make sure that we fill out the paperwork appropriately.
John, have you had any experience with the newest things like $5,000 a family picking them up when they'll pay the feds for the families? Is it the Ukrainian families or something?
So I don't know about that, but I know during COVID, Massachusetts, they were using RAFT in order to use like the COVID funds, and I think we got some money from RAFT.
Oh yeah, we still do. And yeah, to answer your questions, there's a lot in Lowell actually who just got a 4-unit under contract for a client of mine, and they were renting to Afghanistani families. So it's very, there's a lot of families from Afghanistan in Lowell that are looking for, but the issue with this is they put like in a 4-bedroom apartment, they'll put 2 families in it. They just put a lot of people in the same, in a small apartment. So kind of really beat it up, but
Is it federal funding that's paying it? Kind of
yes,
like Section 8? It's
federal funding, yes. Yeah.
What's your screening process for tenants?
Well, the screening is the most important thing. You just, I personally, you know, there's people in the areas that we invest. We don't expect a high credit score. What I look for is evictions. You know, if somebody had gone through an eviction, it's a complete no-no because they went through the system, they know the system. A lot of them are professional renters. Just to see, try to talk to their job, to their not the previous landlord, but the one before that. Because if you call the previous, if they want to get them out, they'll say, yeah, they're great, take them. Yeah, I'll just try to find as much information. And I think personally, when you see and meet them in person, this is actually, I have Sean here, he helps me with a lot of my rentals, and so he gives me like 2-3 applicants, and then I meet them, and then I made a decision based on how I feel personally, what my gut tells me about it's been working well so far. Yes, James.
Yeah, so I have one bedroom unit that I'm considering renting out in a few weeks.
Mhm.
But I hear people talk about Airbnb and then traditional rental. Do you consider Airbnb?
Well, Airbnb is a lot more work. It's more like a job because you have to, find a cleaner. You have to, work for ratings. You have to give ratings, monitor ratings. I have not considered Airbnb. I think it's definitely better return for your money, but it's also more work, and I'm looking for less work. Yeah. But definitely try it, James. I think you might find some good. And especially if you live on the second, if you live upstairs, that makes it much easier. You can just go change the sheets, whatever, clean yourself. You don't have to hire somebody, and you're right there to make sense. Maybe you should give it a month try.
Todor, it's my last question. So, what about in Lowell for the metering of water? Are you able to get the tenants out and then meter per apartment in Lowell, or are you considering?
No, I think that's a big expense. I've never done it. I'm not sure. A long time ago I was doing the numbers on it, and it didn't make sense. If you want to condomize it at some point, sell it as condos, maybe it would make sense. But just for the water expense, I've never done it, and I don't know. John, do you think that will bring up the value significantly? Would justify the expense of doing so?
I think it's kind of break even at best, but it's just a matter of if you can get more utilities off your plate and on the tenant's plate, it makes sense. I mean, we buy a lot of buildings where heat's centralized and we decentralize the heat and make the tenants pay for it, and overnight the cost of heating cuts in half for the whole building because people have responsibility for it. I think the same thing would happen with water and sewer, but we've never separated it. There is ruling in Massachusetts which allows you to charge back water and sewer based off of square footage of each unit, and then you can prorate your water and sewer bill. And so we actually are going to try that on a couple of buildings in New Hampshire and see how it goes. It's a little unusual. I don't know if the tenant's going to kick back or not, but I mean we're gonna try it and see, because it's a law that allows us to do it, and so we'll give it a go.
You said you could do it in Massachusetts too?
New Hampshire.
Oh, just New Hampshire.
You can do it in New Hampshire. Yeah, Massachusetts hasn't recognized it yet, but pretty much what it is you have 3 units, you take the square footage of each unit, you come up with a proration based on square footage, and then you can bill it back to the tenants. The question we have is, they pay their rent, but they don't pay the water bill. Do we evict them? How do we go through all that? So we'll have more questions than answers at this point.
I think if you rent to subsidized tenants, then it makes sense because they don't pay for it anyways. But I think if you bring it to a regular tenant, historically they never heard anybody paying for their water, and now they say, oh, look at this leech. That's all this big building, and now he wants me to water. Nobody pays for water, so they might not care for your family, for your apartment. So I don't know. It's a tricky thing. You'll find out.
We'll see. We're gonna try it.
Just for general knowledge or whatever, if you have like a tenant that you think is abusing your water, you can put meters on the lines going to their place that will just count the water usage, just for your knowledge.
Yeah, I know. I'm guilty of. I wanted to try this, and there's also some cities, some towns like Fitchburg, for example. They have these systems now. They monitor leaks. So if you log into their, I'm not sure how exactly they do it, but they can. If you have active leak, let's say something is 3-4 o'clock in the morning, it's the same. They send you a signal so you can check it out. But yeah, that's a great idea, and then definitely. But then again, to John's point, what are you gonna do? Is to go say, you know what, you're spending too much water. So what's the?
That's just to know.
Yeah,
I had a guy once that he was trying to evict the tenant, and he was pretty sure they were just leaving the water
for
on.
sure. No,
So
yeah.
they wanted me to put that in to monitor it. But if you have a big building and you don't know if your water bill is super high, if somebody's trying to screw you over, then you know which person you gotta get out. Or you can use that as a way to see if it makes sense to put in the separate meters.
Yeah, definitely a good idea. Yes.
Have you ever
Renovation agreement?
Oh, no, like novation agreement.
No, I've
It's
never
like-
heard of, what is that?
It's like when your deal is kind of tight and you know you don't have a lot of meat on the bone per se, so it's a way to get the property, make an agreement with them that they don't get the money until you list the property and then sell it. So you actually, in the meantime, then put a lien on the property, so you're not actually paying to get the property, and then you can get your people in there to fix it up, and then once it's done fixing up, you list it and.
It's like a fix and flip / wholesale.
Yeah, no, I have never done that. I've never done that. But I know people are doing it. I personally have never done that. Yeah, there's just way too many different ways to make money in real estate and different strategies, and that's why we love it. Every day you learn something.
Alright, any last questions for Todor? Alright, thank you, Todor.
Thank you so much.